clean up there. Whoa, jeez. Wow. Hey, you know what? Shooting a video. Hi everybody, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center, along with Eco, the Eco Watchdog. However, I have to say, some sad news. Eco has lost her mind. It's gone. She's gone completely insane. The poor thing is completely and totally obsessed with chasing and killing lizards. To date now, she's killed exactly none. But she's obsessed with trying. So anyway, so much for the old days when I had lovely Cascade here that would look at the camera and mug for you. This thing here, there she goes, jumping up, and she's hopping like a kangaroo. But that is not the subject of this video. This is part 2 of the floor, or installing the flooring. Now the flooring is done. I've got the second half of it here. The first half is in there and most of it's already installed because I shot this whole introduction once and forgot about it and deleted everything. So I've got to start all over again. So here we are. I'm going to do the floor installation. I'll show you as I go by step what I'm doing. It'll probably take me 3, 4, maybe 5 days to do, because in between I have an absolute emergency that has to be attended to, and that's installing a new battery in our electrical system. I'm not sure I'll do a video on that because we already did a video on installing a battery and it's just more of the same. So anyway, let me get behind the camera and I'll show you what's going on and what I've done. So here's the second half of the flooring that was needed for that room. It's only 150 square feet, so it's not a lot of wood, but and I'll get into the money and the time at the end of this video, but it is quite a bit of work. As I said before, it's a labor of love. Now I've started installing it, and I wish I hadn't have deleted that other video because I had it when I first started, but here we go. This half of the floor is almost complete. I've got some boards laying there that I have to screw down. You see, as I said, I'm going in a diagonal. I just thought the diagonal would look a little better. So a couple of things. I decided not to shiplap or tongue and groove this because it was just a lot of extra work. So what I've done is I've put tar paper down. If there's any gaps that show through, say it pulls apart, which it shouldn't because it's already as dry as it can be. But if there is any gap, you won't see the wood shining through. It'll be just the black tar paper. Everywhere where there's a screw or a nail hole, I am going to use filler in there and fill that in. There's some small gaps. I didn't get, here's a board right here in front of us that for some reason is bowed a little bit, and you can see there's a gap there. I'm going to take the filler and run all along these and fill that all in. Personally, I like the looks of the filler, so I'm going to do filler. You, if you're doing it, may not want to use the filler. Now, the only difficulty in doing the diagonal is making these cuts, and actually the cuts are anywhere from 43 to 45 degrees, so once you do one, once you set your angle, you're perfectly all right. And what I'm going to do here is just, it's very simple. You just take a board like that, and just draw with your pencil right there, and you've got your angle. So that's what I'm going to finish doing now. I'll finish the entire floor, show you the entire floor. Then I've got some sanding to do because a few spots are a little high or low. Do the sanding, clean it all up. Put the polyurethane on it, and I'm going to trim around the edges too, where it meets the wall. I'm going to put a molding there, and we'll show you step by step as I go. Hi guys. Hey, it's been about 10 days since the last shot on this video segment. The reason was that the monsoonal flow that comes, through the southwest every year, and we're on the far eastern edge of it, did come through and brought us the threat of and a lot of rain, which we needed, but it also wetted everything down here, and pretty much stopped me from doing much of anything. Now, one of the major problems we had is the way I built this place, and you can't see it unless I tip the camera, but where the rafters go across the walls, there is that gap, that 5.5 inches, because it's a 2x6, that 5.5 inch gap. Well, I never filled that gap in on the roof to allow for airflow, and since it's going to be a wide open place anyway, you know, not thinking of the rain because we were in that big drought. At any rate, the rain came blasting through that 5.5 inch gap along the whole bathhouse, including the utility room where the battery and all the electronics is, got on the power inverter, destroyed my 2,000 watt power inverter. I didn't want to destroy it, I wanted to keep it as a backup, but I do need a bigger one anyway, so I'm getting a loaner for now until we get the money together a little later to buy a 3,000 watt that'll take, you know, electric fry pans and things like that that the campers may have. But anyway, that was what delayed me. The room is now dry, I think. I haven't opened the door yet. Well, I smell a touch of dampness, but that, you know, dampness to us is 50% humidity, and I know everybody out in Florida and Louisiana is laughing about that, but dampness for us is 50%. So I'm going to go ahead and do the sanding now, and I'm going to get behind the camera and show you the floor. What I've done to the floor now, it's completely down. I sanded it, and I started sanding it, and this is an issue I knew we were going to have. As I was getting my thickness right, my thickness wasn't right. There are some of them that are off, anywhere from, you know, a 64th up to an 1/8 of an inch. So you've got those little gaps. What I was trying to do with the sander was sand those high spots down so that you had, you know, a little, you didn't have what my father-in-law Conrad always called a toe knocker, so I call them Conrad toe knockers. But an 1/8 of an inch isn't enough of a toe knocker to worry about. So I tried sanding that, gave up, sanded the floor pretty much, and then mixed up fill. And if you followed me a couple years back, that is just terrible. Look at that review. So I use this stuff called Durham's wood putty, I think it is. Durham's water putty. Durham's water putty. I was going to bring the can out here and show you. That I've used in the past. I used it 25 years ago at our house in Florida. Works great. So I used the Durham's wood putty out here to fill in all the screw holes, nail holes, and some of the gaps, because also some of the boards weren't exactly straight, although they were pretty much straight. But you know, when you're putting a floor down, sometimes the gaps are there. Now, some of you folks may like the nail holes and the gaps. I don't like them. I like the look of the wood fill, so I put the wood fill in, and that's what I'm going to show you. It's ready to sand right now, but I'll show you the completed floor, the floor ready to sand, and then I'll show you the floor before I seal it. So here's our completed floor. You see all the blotchiness from the Durham wood water putty. One stripe right kind of in front of us, actually two little stripes, don't look like they're 100% dry yet, that are filling gaps that just came out of nowhere. I'm going to go ahead and sand those down. I'm going to start with the random orbital sander with 60 grit on it. If I have some tough spots, I have the regular palm sander with 45 grit. But I'm going to start on that, and then I will show you when we get it done. Well, here's the floor sanded, and I've just mopped it so it's a little wet. Now I'm taking a picture of it, a video of it, wet like this from mopping, because that's the way it's going to look once we polyurethane it. So all I have to do now is go and cut the moldings that I'm going to put around my baseboards. And I'll install the baseboards and do the polyurethane tomorrow, but today we're going to let this dry out. Okay, so here I'm ready to start on making my molding. Now what I've done is what you should always do. I have a test piece here, about a 14-inch 2x4 that I'm going to just test it on. I think I have my depth set right. Got the little test piece on here. Going to give it a shot and then see. Now this bit has a ball bearing at the bottom, so I don't have to have any other guide except this. So let's turn it on and see where we go. you guys aren't here to see this, but it should go a little bit deeper, so I'm going to go ahead and set it a little bit deeper. This is where having a cameraman would probably come in handy. Run it there. A little bit deeper, give it a shot. Well, this bit isn't quite as aggressive as what I'd like. Now I've got these other bits here. I'm going to look. Nothing is really much more aggressive. I've got a round over that's a bit more aggressive. But I guess we'll just live with this. So we did our test piece. It came out all right. It's not quite as aggressive as I'd like, but it's okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut the two edges. I believe I have to do 4. I have to do 2 2x4s and then cut them in half. That'll give me 4. 4 times 8 is 32 feet, and I've got 10, 20, and 16, 36 feet. Is that right? That's right, 36 feet, minus the door. So we'll see if I've got enough or what I have to do, but I'll come back when I got them cut. All right, so as I put my profile on, showing it to you now, I put the profile on both sides. Now I'm going to cut it in half, and that'll give me my 1.5 inches, more or less. Sometimes it isn't even, so the trick is run it through the saw once, that cuts it in half, then take and make sure, by putting the other side through again, make sure that they're both the same height, because the last thing you want is just line up the moldings like that where they're going to line up, which is the corners. And you know, this is only an 8-foot board, and it's 10 feet wide, the one builder, 10 foot long. So we're going to cut it now. Last one there. Now remember, it was cutting a little bit rough, because if you remember, as I began this, I hit 7 nails with this. And I cautioned you then, don't put your good Diablo blade on when you're cutting pallet wood, because you will miss a nail or a staple. So here is my profile. Now some of you might think that's a bit beefy. I need it beefy because using scraps as I did, sometimes I didn't quite get it all the way to the floor or all the way to the wall. So this gives me that 1.5 inches in both directions. Gives me the profile. Now what I'm going to do is sand them down and paint them that same light blue as the building is. Then we're going to go, I won't bother you with the painting, but then we're going to go and install everything and stain the floor. Well, I can't believe it, but I'm finally done with this floor. I've got the trim in, I've got the trim painted, I've got the trim here painted, floor's in, floor's finished, it's dried. Now all we have to do is put the furniture in. I'm going to give you a look at it right now, though, before we do anything with the room, and then we'll get a look at it after. Hang on while I get behind the camera. So with that, the ordeal is over. I'm finally done with this floor. Now, it was a pain in the neck. It was a lot more trouble than the money. So, it's over. It's done with. It was a lot more trouble than the money I probably saved. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I showed you how to do it. If you have a desire to do something with pallet wood, by all means do it. If you have the tools available to make it faster, no power, bleh, more power to you. But we've got the floor done, laid in a nice diagonal pattern. I like it. It looks great. I'm not going to do it again, but I'm glad I did it one time. And with that, let's move on to the next video. Don't know what it is yet, but it'll be coming out soon. But until then, it's Robert Earl out here at the Eco Ranch Sustainable Living Educational Center in Far West Texas saying, see you later. There she is. That's the finished floor. That is the pallet wood with no stain, just polyurethane. And the trim. Now the trim didn't turn out as good as I thought because there was some waver in the wall. But like Debbie keeps saying, well, it's just for the campers. So we've got the room ready. They've got their ceiling fan, they've got their electric outlet, their 12-volt outlets. Everything's ready to go. So what I'm going to do is count to 3 and then show you the room with the finished furniture in it. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. Furniture. We have a desk. We have a futon that folds into a twin bed, double bed, excuse me. Another futon that folds into a double bed. My tea. And one little piece of artwork. Every room should have a couple. I only have one right now. Forgot to put the curtains up, but I wanted to get this done. So it's done. And there's the floor. Out of focus at the moment. There we go. There's the floor. And the room is ready to rent. These rooms rent at $50 a night for our campers. And it includes their showers. Everybody else has to pay for a shower.